everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Making a Difference in Mental Health. I'm your host, Danielle.
I'm your co-host, Wendy.
Wendy, how you doing?
It's Friday.
It's Friday here.
Thank God it's Friday.
It's Friday here. We're happy to get to the end of the week. I know we were talking earlier about the weather and,
Yeah, I think we've had every season today, from rain to snow.
Yes.
I was, out of the state in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
It was all bright and sunny, and then came back to rain, and then saw some snow, and the temperature dropped. So we're really in it. But thank God it's Friday. It was a challenging week, I'll say.
But you know what? A good way to end the week, too, is to have a guest with us. We're so excited to have Molly Hennessy here from our ABH office in Carroll.
Oh, yes.
And
shout out to Carroll.
We've not had anyone in Carroll to come on the show in the 3 seasons that we've had this show. But we're so excited to see you, Molly. Welcome.
Welcome, Molly. Why don't you introduce yourself to our audience?
Okay, so as Danielle and Wendy said, my name's Molly Hennessy. I am a LGPC in the Carroll office. I started as an intern here a year ago. So if you two are okay, I'll just jump into my journey.
Yeah, go ahead. Tell us about your journey.
I started in January of 2022 as an intern from McDaniel College in Westminster, Maryland.
Shout out to Daniel.
Yep. So I did practicum in both my internships under Shannon Hodgins out of the Carroll office, and I love working with her. And then I was in a couple of schools in Carroll, and I would shadow different social workers and therapists to kind of get in the groove of what I was doing. And I think midway through my second internship, Shannon and I had the conversation about me staying. And I was like, yes, I will stay. I love working here. I love working under you and Vera. So we started building my caseload, and it has built and built and built because there's a lot of there's a lot of help needed in Carroll. There's a lot of help needed in Carroll. We don't have as many therapists as like Frederick office has. But I enjoy it. I love going in the schools and seeing the kids and working with them. And then when I took a month off. Well, I didn't choose to take a month off. Let me put it that way. So I had to sit for my NCE, which is the National Counselor's Exam. I sat for that December 10th. My last day of work was December 9th. So I jumped right into
Oh my goodness.
I was like, I need to get this done. I passed right away because results right away. So that was super exciting. I texted Shannon after. I was like, guess what? I passed. And she goes, now just to wait for the board to post. And I'm like,
yeah.
So I worked as the front office receptionist for the Carroll office because we didn't have anyone at the time. So I was still like interacting with people, and like I would see my clients because some of them would see Jonathan, who's the prescriber, and I would get to like be like, hey, like, how you doing? And I got to kind of like stay up to date with stuff, which I was very thankful that I had that opportunity because I got to learn that side of like the authorizations and like contacting if they have it in open auth and all of that. So I got to learn a whole nother side to ABH, which I am very thankful for. And then December 21st is when my license posted. And I went through new hire again, as Wendy knows, because
we met.
That is how we met. I kind of helped Wendy run it because all the other ones were interns and people who hadn't been there before. Even Vera was like, Molly, you could run this. Like, probably.
Oh, you could. You were so helpful to me when I was doing onboarding for everyone because you've lived it. So you were able to really give examples and explain to the group like how it is to be a therapist here at ABH.
Yeah. And there were interns in new hire, so I had been in their shoes, and I like kind of helped them ease some of the anxiety because it is anxious. You're going into a whole new world that you've never experienced before. And I was like, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to mess up. But they were under Shannon too. And I'm like, you are very lucky because everyone at ABH is wonderful, and I can tell you from working with Shannon that she will help you and she will guide you. And if you have any questions, reach out to her, or even reach out to Vera, because I've texted Vera and been like, hey, can you help me with this?
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things I love about working for ABH and can't see myself working anywhere else.
Oh, that's awesome. I have to say, when I first met Molly, I fell in love with her energy. Her energy that very first day was so infectious. And I'm like, I have to get to know this. So, and like I said, we've talked. She's super helpful during onboarding. So just very pleased that you were able to carve out time from your busy schedule to join us. And I just want you to point out real quick for our listeners, if you could just describe what is an LGPC?
Yes.
So an LGPC is a licensed graduate professional counselor. So that is the step up from an intern. And then I have to go one more step. I have to get, I think, 3,000 hours before I can be a licensed clinical counselor. So I still have to go through some supervision, and my supervisor now is Michelle Jefferson, who I love working with too. So I have to do weekly supervision and have a certain number of case hours to then qualify to be a fully licensed therapist.
Right. Okay. Very similar to what the LMSW and LCSWC have to go through with the certain hours, person-to-person hours, supervision hours. So it's always good for our audience to know when we're saying like certain terms, or if we're just using acronyms, because we're used to it. Like we know what certain things mean, but to break it down is really good. And I also want to just highlight the fact that you've had a multifaceted journey with ABH, where like different sections in different areas. You're able to help the intern, you're able to see the admin side, and now you're on the clinical side where you're doing the work with clients. So that's really good. Yeah. So in regards to just how you've come along from an intern to now doing therapy, do you have a specialty? Are you specializing in any area, or is there something that you want to specialize and become an expert in?
So I have the specialty of knowing about autism. I have an autism background. I am a registered behavioral technician. And I am currently also working to get my certificate to be a board certified behavioral analyst, which is like the step up from an RBT, or a registered behavioral technician. Because I currently also work with a little boy with autism on the side as like my part-time job, because I love it so much that I like talked to Vera, I talked to Shannon, I was like, I love this and it gives me joy to do it. And my other boss is fine with it. So I was like, I can't walk away from that, because I'm helping him just like I'm helping these people. Like I can't, ethically and morally, I didn't feel comfortable walking away from him.
Right.
And luckily I'm in the mental health field, and Shannon and Vera were understanding. Christina McDermott was understanding. They're like, we completely understand. Like that is something we want to ask you to do. So autism is my specialty, and ABH is not an autism clinic, but sometimes we do get some clients who have some autism, whether it's diagnosed or not diagnosed. So in the Carroll office, most of them come to me, which I am okay with, because some of the stuff we do in therapy is also applied behavioral analysis without us even realizing it. I've noticed that through this job.
Yes.
But being able to understand the social cues of those with autism and understand why one thing might not work best for them versus like a non-neurodivergent. So I love being able to like bridge that. And I've even like had the thought of talking to Vera about having my boss, who's an owner of a company, come in and talk to ABH therapists about how to help those with autism while they're waiting to get ABA therapy. Because like how our wait list at ABH is long, the wait list for ABA is long too. It's almost even longer because there's not as many people specialized in it.
Right. Yeah.
So that
Go ahead.
That is definitely my area that I love working with, and I also want to eventually work with veterans with PTSD and service members with PTSD
Nice.
because I've had
Nice.
firsthand
I think
experience
you
watching
touched
that.
on a point that's very important that I just wanted to highlight, that we do get a lot of clients who are in that space where they can't get an ABA therapist, and they come to us for the service. So I like that we're going to have an opportunity to just know what to do while we kind of hold on to that client until that they can get more of the service that they need. So that's excellent, Molly. You're giving us great gems here.
Yeah. And this kind of reminds me of a conversation that we had for our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee here at ABH, where I believe next month, in April of 2023, depending on when you're watching this, but in April of 2023, I believe we're going to be working on, or just presenting information in our newsletter about autism awareness. And so I think that, everything that you're saying is definitely something that is needed, especially for those who may know just the general information, but you're talking about ABA and how to apply ABA, or at least, just how to process that, or even understand, like you said, there may be components that we use or that we might work with clients, but to have a specialty in it, or have a license in it, or some type of certification in it, I think that's like the next step for that population. And I also like the idea of being able to educate those and provide psychoeducation about this particular diagnosis that many of us we might know symptomatically what it looks like, but how to treat it, or how to work through when it comes to behavior and functionality.
Yeah, I had Jonathan ask me questions when he found out that was my specialty. I've had people who have worked at ABH for like 4 years ask me questions when I was an intern. And that was like the reality moment of these two worlds like need to eventually come together.
Yes.
So I would love to talk to the DEI committee in April about autism. Like, sign me up. I could talk about it all day.
That
would be great.
You sound like me. Great. I can talk about, what do I talk about all day? Sex abuse, right?
Any child welfare stuff. But Wendy's like the expert. She's the go-to. She's, 30 years of experience, expertise. I think with Wendy, whenever she gets us together, her approach, because she's been in the field for so, I don't want to say so long, like to date you or anything, but, just her expertise, just the longevity.
I'm a young retiree.
Yes. But just the longevity in the area of child welfare, it's a wealth of information. So to hear that and I can hear your passion, and I can see your passion for autism, and even just providing information again in psychoeducation, and you're providing it to the prescribers, even as an intern. I think that's really good. And I also like the fact that you want to go into the area of PTSD at some point. We have a really good TFCBT training that comes.
I'm doing it in April.
Oh, great.
I recommend all the therapists do that training.
Yeah, the TFCB training, I took it a few years ago too. We were going into COVID had just hit, so it kind of it still went on. It just kind of looked a little bit different because we had to kind of navigate through virtual space, right? But the PTSD population diagnosed with PTSD, or those that have trauma, that's the area that I love to work in. So processing that and working again with functionality, and having our clients be able to understand what their diagnosis is, but also learn how to work through it.
Absolutely. It's a lot of psycho ed.
Yeah.
We do. So, Molly, in one word, tell us what you love about being a therapist, or a phrase.
I was going to say, Wendy, you're asking a lot of me.
Maybe just on a Friday. You can describe it.
Helping people, especially children, understand their worth.
Oh, I like that. Understand the worth.
Understand their worth.
That's really good. And so you've been here at ABH for what, like 2 years total with your path? About
so 2 years? A year and 2 months I've been here.
2 months. All right, I feel like you just been here. So anyway.
I feel that way too some days.
Yes, but tell us, you talked a lot about your supervisors, site directors, talked about our CEO, but is there anything else that you could share with our audience that drew you to ABH and keeps you here? The one thing that no other place might not have?
Um, I I honestly think it's the involvement of Vera is really what pulled me here. Because my other job, the CEO and owner, is very involved too, and that's what drew me there. Is it's not just some corporate person who's
Mhm.
telling you what to do. It's someone who is certified in the field and they've worked it and they've learned by their mistakes and they're wanting to make everyone below them better and they're even making themselves better. And that's honestly what drew me, was like the similarities between my two like between that agency and the one I work for ABA, is how involved the CEO is in helping those who work for her do better.
Right. So yes, our CEO, Dr. Vera Perdian, is very hands-on. She's very passionate. She wants everyone to be their best.
This is true. And I can say Vera used to be my supervisor. So, and it's interesting because when I hear people over the years, I've been here for almost 7 years. So when I hear people over the years either talk about Vera, whether she was a supervisor, and we know that she's our CEO, there are things that have always remained the same. Through and through, she's involved. She's passionate. We know that she's very passionate, and also she wants all of the clinicians here, the therapists, the mentors, the interns, the
front desk,
the front desk, everyone to be able to elevate and move to the next level. Also, be educated and professional when it comes to the work that we do for our clients and for the community. But through and through, she's always been the same, no matter how high up.
Right.
She's always involved. And
And-
so that is something that keeps me here too, if I can say.
She's very approachable. So
Mhm.
I think that's
Yeah.
I think that's in a nutshell what you're saying. Really approachable, and she's a great communicator.
Yeah.
So that is excellent, Molly.
Yeah.
Danielle?
Is there anything else, like from a practice space as a therapist, that you like? Or like, are you able to use, like, is there something new that you've learned while you've been here and it's just opened you up even more as a therapist?
I think what I've learned is being okay with like asking for help.
That's
Which is it's a very hard thing to do for anyone.
Yeah.
But like in full disclosure, I suffer from anxiety. Like I have an anxiety diagnosis. So like me asking for help and admitting like my faults or admitting my wrongs is hard for me. That is very hard for me. And it's something I work on every day. So asking for help or asking for like, how could I have done this better? Has been like the one thing I have learned the most, because of like the camaraderie of ABH and the Carroll office and all of that. It has made me more willing to ask for help versus like before.
That's good. I mean, and I think that's important too for any job when you're new. Like, I remember my orientation or onboarding day so many years ago, receiving a lot of information. It's kind of like in one ear, out the other. But I will say I was able to connect with a couple of my peers, and they were already here, able to make friends, or, at least work friendship via work. And they're able to kind of help you and steer you and, get someone under your wing, or you get under their wing, and then you're able to reciprocate. You're able to kind of pay it forward, or return the favor when it comes your time, like on onboarding when you had the interns and so on and so forth.
And I think I talk a lot about the importance of asking questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to be your authentic self as a clinician. This is a hard job, and we're human, and we don't always get it right, but we always want to get it better. And so the only way you do that is to ask questions, pay attention, use your resources, use your team, use us. So it's good to hear that, Molly, you see that in our company.
Yeah. And do you have any tips? Because asking questions sounds like there is one tip. tip.
Mhm.
But as we're closing out the interview, are there any other tips that you have for upcoming
Newcomers.
therapists, newcomers? Yeah.
So, a couple of things, especially those studying for the NCE, like that is a very anxiety-inducing situation for anyone.
Mhm.
But understand that there is no true passing score. You won't find like you need a 95 or whatever, because I talked to people in my class and their score that they needed to pass was different than mine. So you can't base it off of what other people do, and just know that you know what you know and not what someone else knows.
Mhm.
And that is something I had to learn, because I was like trying to find out like the passing score, and like there's not one. And then for like asking for help, obviously, but don't also be afraid to ask to shadow. Shadow an eval, shadow a treatment plan, shadow a family session, shadow whatever you can do, because that'll just make you more comfortable for those instances. So I shadowed a lot of evals and a lot of treatment plans as an intern, because I wanted to learn how other people did them, especially evals, because as interns we couldn't do evals, we could just sit and watch. So working with other people on understanding how they do the eval, it helped me when I did my first eval. I felt like I could do it independently and not need someone to sit with me for my first ever eval. I did it by myself because I prepared myself.
Right. And I feel like sometimes that can be that intimidating factor when you're shadowing, or, when you're an intern, but it's like the first time on your own. It's such a big moment, but it's like, you got it. Like you said, don't be afraid to just ask to shadow. You've done it enough. Confidence in yourself. You go out there, you do it, and you're just as good as the clinicians that you've studied under, that you shadowed, or that you've watched. And there's the ability to grow, to learn more, and then also kind of like develop your own style as a therapist, your own path. When you figure out your own passions too, it'll steer you that much more clear in that direction, and it's much more clearer the type of clinician that you want to be in the population that you work with.
Very good, Molly.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
And representing Carol. So I hope we'll have more Carol colleagues when
we're gonna have to come out there one day. I don't know when that's gonna be, but we're gonna have to visit the Carol office.
Right.
That'll be an adventure, I think.
I think when the weather breaks.
Yeah. When it gets a little warmer.
We are traveling.
Yes.
So yes, we'll come out and maybe profile everyone. But again, Molly Hennessy, thank you so much for joining Danielle and I on our podcast.
Yes. So again, like you said, thanks for joining. Thanks everyone for watching. My name is Danielle.
I'm Wendy.
This is Making a Difference in Mental Health, where we're always striving to make a difference in mental health. We'll see you next time.
Take care.